In the heart of Nairobi, along Mombasa Road, stood Wamuyu's, a grand glass-fronted supermarket that once defined Kenyan retail. Shoppers flooded its aisles daily, rich and poor alike, drawn by the promise of affordable quality. What started as a simple vegetable stall by Mzee Wamuyu in Gikomba had grown into a nationwide empire with 17 branches, a logistics company, and a chain of mini bakeries. But empires built on shaky ground never last. And in the shadows of that glossy kingdom was a slow-burning fire fueled by corruption, greed, and jealousy, planted deep within the family itself. Mzee Wamuyu was a man both feared and admired. He had 2 wives. Mama Beatrice, the first, had been with him from the mud days, helped him fry mandotsis in Gikomba when rain leaked through the tent. She gave him 3 children, George, Susan, and David. Mama Celine, the younger wife, entered his life when the money started to flow. Elegant, business-savvy, and cold-eyed, she bore him 2 sons, Ezekiel and Brian. Mzee thought he could control both households like he ran his branches, by numbers, schedules, and silence. But he was wrong. Mzee Wamuyu died suddenly during a board meeting. Heart attack, they said. But some swore he clutched his chest only after drinking tea brought by his driver, who worked for Ezekiel. His funeral was grand. Newspapers ran 2-page spreads. But as his body was lowered into the red soil of Nairi, war was already brewing. The will was a bombshell. The business was to be split evenly between the 2 families. Joint control. Equal votes. They will kill it, whispered Mama Beatrice, staring coldly at Celine across the grave. Meetings became battlegrounds. George wanted to expand into Rwanda. Ezekiel said Rwanda was a waste and wanted to invest in luxury apartments in Rwanda. Susan, now the CFO, noticed strange invoices, millions being routed to consulting firms linked to Brian. When she raised it, Mama Celine accused her of sabotaging her brother's future. David, ever the peacemaker, tried to keep things together. But his silence only fed the chaos. And then came the tender war. A government contract to supply food to prisons. Billions. George secured the deal through old friends in the ministry. But Ezekiel, furious he wasn't involved, leaked internal documents showing Wamuyu's had bribed officials. Within weeks, Wamuyu's was trending for all the wrong reasons. The Ethics Commission swooped in. Accounts were frozen. Branches halted operations. Behind closed doors, Mama Celine laughed. Let them burn it down. Then we rebuild it properly. But she underestimated Susan. Susan, always the quiet one, was now cornered and furious. She had evidence, real evidence, of money laundering through Mama Celine's offshore accounts. She handed it to the Daily Nation. The headline dropped like a bomb. Inside Wamuyu's corruption cartel, a family's greed destroying a nation's pride. TV stations ran exposés. Customers boycotted. Staff went on strike over unpaid salaries. And that's when David disappeared. They found his car torched in Ngong Forest. No body. Just a charred Bible on the dashboard. Mama Beatrice collapsed. Susan shaved her head and swore vengeance. Ezekiel, panicking, tried to cash out. But the banks were watching. Mama Celine tried to bribe a judge to halt the investigations, but the evidence was already viral. Brian fled to Dubai. George was arrested for tax evasion. Mama Beatrice turned to the church. Mama Celine turned to bottle after bottle of expensive French wine. The flagship Wamuyu supermarket along Mombasa Road was auctioned on a hot Wednesday afternoon. Bidders included former employees. Where once stood a symbol of Kenyan entrepreneurship, now stood a bitter reminder: empty shelves, echoing corridors, and peeling posters reading, "Freshness, Integrity, Family." Years later, a small shop opened in Kongemi called Wamuyu and Daughters. Run by Susan, it sold vegetables and soap. A quiet place. No boards. No arguments. Just her and her daughters. "I learned one thing from my father," she told a curious customer. "If you don't feed the snakes at home, they'll eat your future." And behind her, a framed photo of David smiled beneath the words, "Not all who stay silent are weak. Some are just watching."